Hi everyone, it's Niamh here and welcome to my art journey channel. Today we're going to be using collage images to create a big focal point in our page, or in our journal, sorry. So I'm starting my Large Illusions journal with this gorgeous image from Natalie May Scrapbooking. And I'm just cutting out around the edges. Now, the hair, the thoughts coming out of her head don't quite meet the top of the page, and sort of had very flat edges. So I decided she was going to have a beehive, and I cut the top part of her hair into sort of this beehive shape. So don't be afraid to cut it into what you're using to make it more interesting or to make it work for you. I'm then going in and gluing the image down on the page. Because it's got such a beautiful focal point and colours on the page, I decided I wanted to sort of combine those colours and go with this sort of green tone over the background as well. I also broke out my Inktense pencils. So Inktense pencils are very much like the Stabilo oil pencils, but the difference is once you wet them, they become permanent, so they don't shift like the Stabilo oil pencils, which is a really handy bonus. They also come in a huge range of colours, so you can get some really cool effects. So I started off with this sort of turquoisey blue colour in the background, and then I mixed in some other colours. Oh, no, I didn't. I did some ghosting. Oh, I'm glad I know what's going on. So just with that's a stencil from Stencil Girl. Then I'm going in with some Diaca Blue, and I'll do the same again with the stenciling over the top. So I'm sort of rubbing off and trying to blend it together. I've got quite a harsh line there, so I just go in with my wipe and wipe a little bit of it away, but a lot of it had dried already, so I'm just going back over with a little bit of that turquoise and then sort of blending the two together. So I wasn't necessarily happy with how that ended up looking. It was a bit too blue for me, so I decided to tone it down with a green. And I'm just using my green Dylusions gloss spray. I think that one is Evergreen, possibly. Testing my memory here. And just painted a coat over the top. The great thing about the gloss sprays are they are transparent, so you get that, it's like putting a glaze over the top of your work, which I really like. So you get this sort of green colour, but you can see the texture underneath from it. Now I've just gone around with a little bit of blue to give a bit of a shadow, again with a Inktense pencil, and just drying that off. I'm really having a problem with my words today. I'm also boosting the colour in her eyes, although they were green already, with a little bit of neon green from my gel pen. And then adding in a bit of shading into the hair itself, just to brighten it up a little bit, because obviously that's a focal point. You know, she's thinking about home, she's thinking about travel, she's thinking about all sorts of things, and that's sort of what was going through my head as I was doing it. Now this page ended up kind of coming in a series of three. There was 3 different images very similar to this, with large faces and stuff coming out of their brains, basically what they were thinking. And I ended up doing 3 pages in a row, and quite coincidentally, while I was doing them, they kind of ended up working together. The sort of the quotes from the 3 pages blended together, and sort of like, it was like telling a little story, which I really loved. And it wasn't until I was doing the flip through at the end that I realised that had happened. So it's sometimes funny, your brain's actually thinking more than you are. So I'm just going in with this cloud stencil. This is from Funky Fossils. It's a design by Claire Stead. And I'm just putting some clouds around her. So this is a great way to introduce some white space onto your page as well. The awesome thing about having a cloud stencil like this is you can use parts of it So you can sort of see I'm making up my own cloud shapes by using sort of top and bottom areas of it. You don't need very much paint to do this, so I'm not using very much white paint. It's still quite translucent, you can still see through it, but you can sort of build up those cumulus clouds just by sort of adding layers over the top of each other, which is really, really handy. Once I'd done the clouds, and I was quite happy with that, I then wanted to outline them a little bit with my Stabilo Oil pencil, so I'm just going in on the bottom edges just to create a little bit of shadow around them and give them a little bit more shape, make them sort of pop out from the background a little bit. Then I'm going in and just wetting it, so I've got that little touch of grey, almost like rain clouds, to help blend it all together. So everything's sort of fairly light touch. You can still see through those clouds, they sort of look wispy, so you don't want them to be completely opaque. You just want to have this impression of something floating across as you go. And I've also stenciled over the top of the image as well as sort of behind the image, so it gives you an idea that the clouds are floating in front of her as well as behind. So once I've done that, I'm just putting a little bit more definition into her hair again, just to sort of outline where it's all sort of sitting and making sure it kind of all balances up together. Then I'm going in with my distress colour pencils and putting a little bit of shading over the top. And for me, I didn't draw that image in the middle, so by putting a little bit of shading and so on in, it helps me, you know, be part of that image. I couldn't work out what I wanted to do for my quote, but I had these stickers, thickers. I have no idea what brands they are, but they're really sort of iridescent, which I love. And I thought I'd have "Go See the World" on the page. And then I had all the stars that I was using, so I was having lots of fun adding those. So we've got "Go Big, See the World." And I was really happy with how that turned out. I then just went around my letters with, again, my Stabilo Oil pencil, just to give it a little bit of a drop shadow. Not as necessary with that because they are already, you know, they're the foam stickers, so they stick out of the page and already create their own natural shadow. But if you just want to pump it up a little bit, you can add your own shadows in, which is a really handy thing to do. So it was really simple page to do in the end, but I had lots of fun with it, particularly putting the clouds on. That sort of really finished the page for me, and it's not something I've tended to do before, but I was really happy with how it began. Same with putting the green glaze over the page. Sort of just tied it all together, made it all blend together, and gave it that sort of monotone colour over the top. So I hope you have a go at this. Check out Natalie May's scrapbooking and her products section to find those beautiful collage pages. And until next time, bye for now.